11 Weird Signs of Narcissistic Abuse in Body Language. When you think of narcissistic abuse, what comes to mind? Perhaps the emotional manipulation, the constant belittling, or the way the narcissist twists reality to make you question your sanity. But did you know that narcissistic abuse doesn't just leave emotional scars? It can manifest in body language too. In fact, narcissistic abuse can subtly but powerfully impact how a victim carries themselves, moves, and presents their body to the world. It's a shocking truth that many of the effects of narcissistic abuse, especially the ones you might not see coming, can be hidden in the smallest gestures and postures. If you've ever been around someone who's experienced narcissistic abuse, you might have noticed these odd, almost imperceptible signs in their body language. Their hands tremble slightly when they speak, their posture becomes rigid, or their smile feels more like a mask than an expression of joy. But what's behind these odd behaviors? Why do these body language signs happen, and what do they tell us about the lasting effects of narcissistic abuse? In this video, we're going to dive deep into 11 weird signs of narcissistic abuse in body language, signs that may not be immediately obvious, but when recognized, can reveal a lot about the emotional toll of narcissistic manipulation. Whether you've been in a relationship with a narcissist, or you've observed these behaviors in someone else, this piece will provide you with valuable insights into how narcissistic abuse shows up in the body. So, if you've ever been curious about how narcissistic abuse affects a person's body language, or you're hoping to understand the subtle cues of someone who's been abused by a narcissist, stick with me. By the end of this article, you'll be able to spot these signs and, more importantly, understand how to begin healing. Let's dive in. Before we get into the specifics of narcissistic body language, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel and share this video. Understanding narcissistic abuse and its hidden effects is crucial, not only for those who have experienced it firsthand, but for anyone who wants to help others who might be going through it. If you've ever noticed strange body language in someone you care about, this video will give you the tools to understand what might be happening beneath the surface. So, let's jump in and start looking at the weird signs of narcissistic abuse in body language, signs that might be so subtle that they could easily go unnoticed unless you know exactly what to look for. 1. A constantly tense and stiff posture. One of the first signs of narcissistic abuse in body language is a tense and stiff posture. Narcissistic abuse often leaves victims in a state of hypervigilance, always on edge and anticipating the next attack or manipulation. This state of perpetual anxiety can manifest physically through body language. The person may hold their body rigidly, with their shoulders pulled up and their chest tight. Their movements may be jerky or exaggerated, as though they're constantly bracing for impact. This tension can be a direct result of chronic emotional stress. Victims of narcissistic abuse often feel like they're walking on eggshells, never knowing when the narcissist will lash out or criticize them. Over time, this constant state of alertness can lead to muscle stiffness and a posture that looks uncomfortable or unnatural. The body becomes a reflection of the mind, trying to protect itself from the invisible emotional wounds caused by narcissistic manipulation. 2. Excessive fidgeting or restlessness. Another subtle sign of narcissistic abuse is excessive fidgeting or restlessness. A victim may feel an overwhelming sense of anxiety, which manifests as the need to constantly move or shift their position. They might tap their fingers nervously, shift their weight from one foot to another, or repeatedly adjust their clothing. This behavior is often a coping mechanism, a way to deal with the internal chaos created by being constantly belittled, criticized, or invalidated by the narcissist. This fidgeting often occurs when the person feels overwhelmed, trapped in a conversation they can't escape, or under the watchful eye of someone who has a tendency to belittle them. The feeling of not being able to sit still is their body's way of trying to release pent-up tension or discomfort. It's as if their body is reacting to the stress they feel, but don't know how to release it otherwise. 3. Avoiding eye contact. Avoiding eye contact is another behavior that can be a sign of narcissistic abuse. In a healthy relationship, eye contact is a sign of trust, connection, and respect. But for someone who has been subjected to narcissistic abuse, eye contact can become a source of anxiety. They may avoid looking directly at the narcissist, either out of fear of being criticized or because they've learned that maintaining eye contact often leads to further emotional manipulation or devaluation. This behavior is often rooted in shame or fear. Narcissistic abuse can make someone feel small, insignificant, and unworthy of attention. Over time, they may develop the habit of looking down or away as a way to avoid drawing attention to themselves, as if they are afraid of being scrutinized or judged. For these victims, eye contact may feel like a power struggle they're not prepared to win. 4. Smiling that doesn't reach the eyes. One of the most haunting signs of narcissistic abuse in body language is a smile that doesn't reach the eyes. This is often referred to as a fake smile or a mask smile. When someone is enduring narcissistic abuse, they may feel forced to smile or appear happy in front of others, even though they are emotionally devastated. This smile may look perfect on the surface, but if you look closely, you'll notice it doesn't extend into the eyes. The eyes, often referred to as the window to the soul, may appear vacant or flat, signaling a disconnect between the smile and the true emotional state. Narcissistic abuse often creates this inner conflict. The victim is forced to appear happy or content, even when they feel broken on the inside. The fake smile becomes a survival tactic, a way to keep the narcissist happy or to avoid further criticism. Over time, this becomes a deeply ingrained habit, and the person may not even realize that their smile no longer reflects their true feelings. 5. Hunched shoulders and lowered head. A hunched posture or a lowered head is a classic sign of someone who has endured a significant amount of narcissistic abuse. Over time, the constant emotional battering takes its toll, and the victim may start to physically shrink in on themselves, adopting a posture that reflects feelings of inferiority, shame, or guilt. The narcissist often diminishes the victim's sense of self-worth, making them feel small or unimportant. This is reflected in their body language as they unconsciously try to make themselves invisible. Their shoulders might slouch forward, and their head may hang low, as though they're trying to avoid drawing attention or standing out. It's a physical manifestation of the emotional pain and low self-esteem caused by prolonged narcissistic abuse. 6. Covering the neck or face. People who have experienced narcissistic abuse might also exhibit the behavior of covering their neck or face during conversations. This can be an unconscious reaction to feelings of vulnerability. When someone feels emotionally exposed or unsafe, they may instinctively try to shield themselves physically. For example, a person may raise their hand to their neck, rub their throat, or hold their face in a way that blocks any potential attack from the narcissist. This physical gesture is a form of self-protection, a way to create a barrier between their vulnerable self and the emotional danger they perceive. Narcissistic abuse can make someone feel emotionally exposed, and this behavior is one way the body attempts to protect them from further harm. 7. Tightened jaw or clenched fists. Another strange but telling sign of narcissistic abuse is the presence of a tightened jaw or clenched fists. When a victim of narcissistic abuse is under emotional distress or frustration, their body may respond by tightening up, particularly in the jaw and hands. This is often a sign that the person is holding back their emotions, whether it's anger, hurt, or the desire to speak up, but feeling unable to do so. The clenching of the jaw or fists can be a direct response to emotional suppression. Narcissists are often masters at silencing their victims, making them feel that their opinions don't matter or that expressing their feelings is useless. As a result, the victim learns to suppress their emotions, which often manifests physically in the form of jaw tension or clenched fists. 8. Over-apologizing or shrinking back. Victims of narcissistic abuse may also display the body language of over-apologizing or shrinking back during interactions. They may continuously apologize for things they didn't do, even when it's not their fault, because they've been conditioned to believe that everything is their responsibility. Their body may retreat, with shoulders slumping, hands raised in a defensive manner, or eyes darting nervously. This constant apologizing and physical shrinking are a direct result of years of being made to feel inadequate by the narcissist. They've internalized the message that they are always at fault, and their body language reflects this sense of guilt and subservience. 9. Tendency to look for validation through gestures. Someone who has been subjected to narcissistic abuse may also show signs of constantly seeking validation through gestures. They may look for approval through subtle cues, like seeking eye contact or glancing at the narcissist for signs of approval. This behavior is rooted in the constant need for validation and affirmation that narcissistic abuse often imposes on its victims. This constant search for validation is a survival mechanism. In a relationship with a narcissist, the victim may feel unsure of themselves and their worth, so they look for signs that they are doing the right thing, that they're being seen or heard, even though this is a flawed and unhealthy dynamic. 10. Excessive grooming or appearance fixation. In some cases, a victim of narcissistic abuse might develop an obsession with their appearance or engage in excessive grooming. This could be a coping mechanism to gain the narcissist's approval or to deflect attention from their emotional vulnerability. They may fixate on their clothes, makeup, or hair as a way to protect themselves from further criticism or to appear perfect in the eyes of their abuser. This focus on appearance can become a way to control the narrative about their worth. By keeping their outward appearance flawless, they may feel they can gain approval or avoid further emotional harm. However, this is often a superficial solution that doesn't address the deeper emotional damage caused by narcissistic abuse. 11. Excessive pleasantries or forced compliments. Finally, victims of narcissistic abuse may exhibit excessive pleasantries or give forced compliments as a way to avoid conflict or keep the narcissist appeased. Their body language might appear overly cheerful, but this is often a defense mechanism. By overcompensating with pleasantries or compliments, they hope to avoid criticism or further emotional pain from the narcissist. These gestures are an attempt to please the narcissist and maintain some semblance of control over the situation. It's a form of submission, trying to placate the narcissist by giving them what they want. I hope this video has helped you understand some of the weird signs of narcissistic abuse in body language. Narcissistic abuse can take many forms, and its effects can be deeply ingrained, even in the way someone moves and holds themselves. If you or someone you know has experienced narcissistic abuse, recognizing these signs is an important first step in understanding the emotional toll it takes. Thank you for staying with me through this video. If you found it insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth discussions on narcissistic abuse and recovery. Remember, you are not alone and healing is possible. take care of yourself, and always trust your body's signals when it comes to protecting your emotional well-being. Why making love with a narcissist hurts, but makes you addicted? Have you ever found yourself in a relationship where, despite the emotional pain and confusion, you just couldn't seem to break free? It's as if the highs of the connection, particularly in moments of intimacy, draw you back in, even when you know it's unhealthy. The love, the chemistry, the rush, and the emotional roller coaster feel intoxicating, almost like a drug you can't quit. But at the same time, you're left with feelings of emptiness, loneliness, or even being emotionally abused. If this sounds familiar, you may have experienced intimacy with a narcissist. Narcissists have a unique way of making relationships feel addictive, while also leaving you emotionally drained. This paradox, where making love with a narcissist hurts but feels addictive, is not an accident. It's a result of their manipulation, control, and ability to exploit your vulnerabilities. In this video, we'll dive deep into why this happens, why it's so difficult to break free, and how the psychological effects of being involved with a narcissist create an emotional trap that is hard to escape. By the end, you'll understand why this cycle of emotional highs and lows is so painful and addictive, and why narcissists are often able to manipulate their partners in ways that keep them hooked. The narcissistic charmer, the love bombing stage. Before we get into the complexities of intimacy with a narcissist, let's first examine how narcissists draw you in emotionally. Love bombing is a term used to describe the overwhelming, excessive affection that narcissists give their partners in the initial stages of a relationship. When a narcissist first comes into your life, they can seem like a dream come true. They are charming, attentive, and seem to understand you better than anyone ever has. They shower you with compliments, take you on extravagant dates, and constantly remind you how special and unique you are. But this intense, almost obsessive behavior isn't about love, it's about control. Narcissists are very skilled at mirroring their partner's desires, hopes, and dreams. They make you feel seen, desired, and valued, but this is done with the purpose of creating an emotional bond that they can later manipulate. The compliments they give, the constant praise, the sexual attention, they are all meant to make you feel like you're the only person in the world who matters. It feels incredible. However, the reason it feels so amazing is that, for a narcissist, you are not just a partner, you're a tool for self-validation. They need you to reflect their idealized image of themselves. This is why, during this phase, they may even seem to possess all the qualities you've ever wanted in a partner. They mirror your desires so accurately that it feels as though the connection is deep, profound, and perfectly aligned. It's intoxicating. But this behavior doesn't last forever. The love bombing phase is just the beginning. The real manipulation starts once you're emotionally invested, and the highs give way to the lows. It's the emotional pull that keeps you hooked. The addictive nature of intimacy with a narcissist. Now let's get into why making love with a narcissist is so emotionally charged, and paradoxically, so addictive. When you're physically intimate with a narcissist, it's not just about sex, it's about power. Narcissists are constantly seeking admiration, control, and validation. They use intimacy as one of their primary tools to achieve these goals. A narcissist might seem to know exactly what you need emotionally and physically, which can feel incredibly validating in the moment. They are attuned to your desires, your body language, and your vulnerabilities, and they will use this knowledge to create a powerful illusion of connection. This creates an illusion of a deep, soulful connection, something real, something that feels genuine. In fact, Many narcissists are experts at being emotionally available during these intimate moments because they know how to manipulate your emotions and create a sense of dependency.